Hello, everyone, and welcome to Compassionate Conversations. I'm Tanys Coughlan with My Place Home Care, and I am joined by my co-host, Heidi Gagne, also from My Place Home Care.
As you can see.
And we have an awesome group of people here today. They are here from Ability First Ottawa, and I know these people fairly well, or two of them anyways. I have done a fair bit of volunteer work with Ability First as well in past years. So let's just introduce them. So Christina Ranieri, she's founder and president. Welcome, hello. Christina.
Thank you.
And we have Cathy Aldrich, who is the board secretary and executive assistant. Hi, Cathy. And then we have Alison O'Brien, who is the director of events for Ability First. So welcome, everyone. So let's hear first from you, Christina. We have a little delay, I think, guys, in our stuff. So please bear with us. Christina, please tell us how you started Ability First and why.
Well, I noticed throughout the years a lot of gaps when it came to disability services. I noticed myself when I was looking even for services for one of my parents, that everything was just so scattered and supports weren't all together. And I kind of thought of it shouldn't be this difficult to get resources when we live in Canada. And I also have always had a passion for working with persons with disability and also being a person with disability. I enjoy the community. It's very diverse, being so intersectional. I mean, anyone can be a person with disability. So I always found comfort in my community. I also love bringing joy to people, and it's just been a passion of mine for throughout my life.
Awesome. Thank you. And Cathy, can you tell us a little bit maybe about what it's been like for you working with Ability First? Because I know that you've been with them since the beginning, and that would be great. I think Cathy may be having some internet issues, though. She seems to be frozen. So maybe we'll ask Alison how you got involved with Ability First.
I actually found an ad on Indeed. They were looking for a director of events. And so I submitted my application, and I got involved with disability support because I'm a parent to a child with a disability. Sam has a rare communication disorder called auditory neuropathy spectrum disorder. He was born without fully intact cochlear nerves. And sort of similarly to Christina, it has been so hard to develop the support that Sam needs because they have a rare communication disorder, plus they have ADHD, and because of those two comorbidities, it gets confused, and the diagnostic process has gone on for years. And I did run for office for the Ontario Liberal Party, and part of my motivation was to improve the social supports that are available to people living with disabilities. And when I saw that ad on Ability First, I thought, okay, this is how I can do that. And I've been so grateful to become involved, and it's a great opportunity to learn what I could be doing to better support my child, what I could be doing to better support our community as a whole, but also what do I need to prepare for as a parent? Because my reality is that I need to ensure that all those supports are in place for Sam. All of those things that I don't even know yet that they will need as an adult. I'm really going to benefit because I'm going to be able to learn from Christina and this organization, and from yourselves as well. This conversation, I think, is going to be really informative for me. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. And Cathy, you seem to be unfrozen. So let's see. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved and what's happening with Ability First Ottawa right now? Oh. I think she's still a bit delayed.
Yeah. Okay.
So Christina, what kind of activities or events? Well, actually, we should be asking Alison this. She's the events.
Yeah.
What kind of events are going on, Alison, right now?
Well, right now, Christina and I and another one of our board members are going to be meeting soon to plan like a town hall, like an Ask Me Anything, to an online event so that it's accessible to everybody, because the reality of a lot of our participants, and ourselves included, we are people living with disabilities, we are people that have suffered from long COVID. We want to make accessible events for people. So we want to do a town hall and give people opportunities to speak with us, ask us questions about the organization, but also give us input as to what they're looking for in terms of support. But also we want to start up the activities we were pre-COVID again. Taking groups to Comic-Con, barbecues, doing a big trip to Kingston, all of those things that we used to do in the past. We want to restart those again, but we want to just sort of rebuild step by step. And that town hall, I'm so excited to get started planning.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's when I was involved, was pre-COVID.
Okay, so I have a
we'll
question.
be bringing you in.
So what is it that Ability First does? Christina, what is it that you do?
Well, what we do is we fill the gaps in the system so that things can, it's almost like we create a flow, right, between the services, so that, you know, less stress. Trying to connect with your community shouldn't be stressful, right?
Right.
And sometimes it can be something small. We really just always focused on what does the community need right now, so that we can move forward towards having a better standard of living and joy and being together.
Right.
So, I mean, at one point it was housing navigation, because housing was, oh my goodness, this was, we've been operating for 11 years, almost 12 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we've changed so much, right? Going where does the community need us now? Right now, we're actually working with Laura, and we're going to be giving out some lovely knitted hats and scarves and blankets as an extra gift to our participants and some families. And of course, we always share whatever we get. So just a small outreach this way. And we always give to, like, for example, Shauna's outreach. So Shauna, you're going to be getting some blankets.
So are these clients, or are these people part of the organization?
Most of them are participants. Shauna is one of the, she works more with the unhoused population. So she has Circle every Tuesday, and we have been supplying them with outreach supplies.
Nice.
We're trying to keep those relationships we had in the beginning of the pandemic, because those relationships are strong, right?
Yeah.
And like we all realize, the intersectionality when it comes to disability is huge. We can't do it all, but we can at least support the community and give them what they need, right? We have extra supplies, they're going out to other people if we can't use them. We have somebody who needs an application signed, we're going to do that. You need something printed because you don't have a printer? Done.
Really?
We are just trying to make the quality of life of persons with disability better, because joy is important. And a lot of people forget that when you're in a marginalized community, and you're in a society that's so focused on productivity. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that properly.
It's okay.
You forget about people as valuable, right? And I think that also leads a lot to poor mental health. I know I had to deal with a lot of internal ableism when I got long COVID, that I wasn't as fast as I used to be. I wasn't as productive as I used to be. But I mean, it's sad to say that that's what had to happen for me to take a step back and be like, you know what, I can't push myself anymore, but I can still do what I can to give back to my community with my team, all these lovely people, and bring some joy.
That's a beautiful statement and sentiment. And I think a lot of people, I think we are kind of moving a bit more towards the joy of life versus let's burn ourselves out working, 70 or 80 hours a week. And it's nice to see that you recognize it and you're there to help people to do that. And I would imagine having a disability would make that even that much harder and almost insurmountable at times. And having programs and people that are there to listen and help and navigate and guide you would be amazing. So how can people get that help from you? What can they do?
Right now we're doing via emails. We're having people register on our website. So we have a waiting list going on because we also understand there's a lot of waiting lists out there. And sometimes when families are asking us for advice, I mean, something I don't know, maybe Alison knows. Something I don't know, maybe Cathy knows, or Teresa, or Len. Sometimes when you have disabilities, a lot of the time you try to meet your goals. You got every barrier in front of you. Just having one less barrier can break that glass wall, right?
Yeah, for sure. Alison, you said your son has disabilities. Is he in school? How are you finding those?
Sam.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we have a delay.
Cut out for a second.
No. Okay. Yeah, no. So how do you find Sam in school? Like, is he in a special program? Is it mainstream? How does that work for him? And how do you find that?
So Sam attends a consortium Sociology Léger, and so that is a francophone school for the deaf, but also for children with learning disabilities. It's located right here in Ottawa. It's the only school that uses langue des signes québécois in all of Canada. There is a vocational, a vocal school in Montreal, and they mostly focus on speech therapy. They do have LSQ. It's been wonderful. Every child has an IEP. Every child and parent is very well supported. They have language classes through an organization called Réseau that you can learn LSQ to better support your child. One of the issues we experience is Sam does have a lot of aversion to school, and that mainly seems to be the ADHD. All of the physical symptoms that come along with ADHD can make it hard for Sam to attend school. But we're so fortunate because of Madame Judith. His teacher is just so kind and understanding, and she is there to support us all along the way. Same with Theruk, our principal. They're so kind and so supportive, and no matter what Sam needs, they are there to give that to us. And so I've realized, just from everything I've learned through meeting with other parents in the system, joining Ability First, I realized how fortunate we are to have Consortium Sociologies Léger, and I wish that was something every special needs child had an opportunity to experience. And I do want to say to other parents out there, if your child is in the French system, whether it's French Catholic or French public, you do have the option to attend CCJL, meet with the school, meet with your administrators at your school, ask for a meeting, ask to see if they could accept your child into the school. If they are deaf and they live within 70 kilometers of this school, you do have the right to ask for that. And as well, it's not just if you are deaf or hard of hearing, it's if you have autism or ADHD, dyspraxia, dysplasia, like anything, Down syndrome, you're able to attend this school.
That's wonderful to hear.
So I personally feel, I feel well supported, and it's just made me realize how much more we could be doing, right?
And how important it is to be supported and feel that support, because without support, without somebody advocating for you or for those that can't or don't know how yet or too young to, it's amazing that there's people out there that will help you to advocate for yourself. And I think so many people we're getting better, but so many people are afraid, or they're like, well, whatever I say is not going to change anything. One of my best friends, her son is in the autism spectrum, and she has protested at Queen's Park, and she's brought her son every single time, and they have stood out there and fought for the rights of people who need this extra support. And she is terrified. What happens when she gets older? You know, he's pretty high functioning, but she's worried. Like, what happens when he turns 18, which is, you know, in 2026? What happens?
Yeah.
And it's scary to think as a parent, as a friend, you know, it's terrifying to see this. So having companies like Ability
First Ottawa.
Yeah. I don't know if you're a company, but programs
registered charity.
Registered charity. Having support from places like Ability First is absolutely key, and advocating and talking and making it the norm. Like, let's get rid of, like, normal is nothing now. Like, normal means nothing now. Everything is normal. And I really hope that people kind of start changing that thought process of difference. There is no difference. It's just different capabilities. I can't talk in sign language.
Absolutely.
Like, you know?
No, I agree with you. It's something I've learned over the past decade of researching neurodivergence is that the reality globally, about 65 to 70% of us are neurodivergent. You know, and being neurotypical is actually quite rare. And so, you know, you're right. We are all differently abled. All of our minds are wired in a different way, and we all have different needs. You know, I myself, I'm disabled, but my disabilities are invisible because it's ADHD and dyslexia. You know, like I do need support, you know, just as much as anybody else does. And so I think the more that we create awareness of invisible disabilities, the more it'll be accepted. And that's one of my goals. And again, I'm so glad to be able to connect with Christina on this, because I think we'll be able to do it together, is to create support for those people, you know, that don't even think they need it. You know, I didn't learn that I was neurodivergent until 39, right? A lot of us are learning later in life or middle age that we have these invisible disabilities. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of people that need support and they don't even know. And that's something that we can do, is create awareness, but also to create the support for them.
You know, a funny thing. So my friend whose son is on the spectrum, she also is dyslexic. And she was trying to fill out, because she is the primary caregiver and his legal guardian and everything, she has to do all the paperwork. She has to do all the meetings for all the grants and everything like that. She was on, I believe it was a government site, an Ontario government site, and they didn't even have the option of dark mode. And because she's dyslexic, when she reads it in dark mode, it's easier for her to comprehend. And they didn't even have that option. I'm like, okay, but this is like such a simple thing.
And that's the thing.
Accommodation.
And that's the thing with the barriers, right? When you're already struggling and always trying to survive, like, I can say the reason I am well coped is because I was diagnosed very young. I'm also neurodivergent. I got support very young, right? But those supports are for some reason not available to this generation of children. And it shows.
It does. Yeah. It does. And parents and adults who did have that support and now it's not available are probably scratching their heads going, why?
Exactly.
Why? Yeah. I mean, we know why. It's all about money.
Yeah. But what's just funny, you know, everybody always argues about money, but there's so much research saying the more you fund programming, education, healthcare, housing, all of that. Yes, it's a lot of money in the first while. And the reason it's a lot of money is because you got to undo all the stuff that wasted the money.
Yeah.
But the end of the result
Mhm.
is once it's properly invested in, everybody flourishes. If everything is accessible, it helps everyone, right?
Mhm.
Because whether you're disabled or not,
Absolutely.
it makes your life easier. What we are on right now, this platform was made for disabled people. You don't have to be disabled to use it, but we all use it, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Was
this
it
is what
really?
I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Tons
I
of
agree with
different
you. I
things.
think a lot of
Earphones, part of
Yeah.
the internet,
Wow.
everything. There's tons of research on.
Yeah.
I mean, even texting was for individuals who were deaf and hard of hearing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Speaking out
Mhm.
loud
Mhm.
tech or speaking in your computer, those were all accessible. Most online accessibility tools were created for disabled people. But how many people do you know who don't use them?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or even I have one that's not technology, but did you guys know the football huddle was created to support Gallaudet University, their football team? They
Oh.
were using sign language, and because in football you use gestures to communicate across the field, they noticed, oh my gosh, they know all our plays. And so they huddled together and they communicated through sign language in this huddle. And that's where the football huddle comes from. Every single team uses that, but it came from the deaf and hard of hearing. But even, Christina, I agree with you. If we invest in better supports for people, all people with disabilities, and I truly believe we could solve our doctor shortage. Most
We could
doctors
solve a
have
lot of
autism
things.
or have ADHD.
Yeah.
Teaching shortage. If we create these supports for young people now, they will be able to succeed, and we will have, that next generation of researchers and doctors and teachers and lawyers, even, engineers. The engineering and accounting are the two professions that have the highest prevalence of autism. If we support those
Makes
folks
sense.
in their youth, right, it's an investment
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
bettering our economy, I believe.
I know that for me, I'm a developmental service worker and social service worker. And because of those supports I got, that's why I'm able to do what I do. I was able to take my time with school. I was able to be able to support my family and work and caregive for one of my parents. Because I had those supports. If I didn't have those supports, I would just be a very angry, lonely person, because it'd be frustrating, because nothing is more frustrating when you try everything, but the system is against you. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Something that always makes me so disheartened as a person with disability is seeing people reaching their goals and dreams and then being shot down by a system that doesn't want them to succeed. They may say they do, but I haven't seen the evidence to prove so. You want people with disabilities to work. Why are you not investing in that? Why are you not speaking to employers? Why are you not making it the norm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making the new norm.
Yeah. Because what is normal right now? We have tons of people. Right now we're in history where it is multiple mass disabling events. Not great. Nobody wants the community to grow this way. You know what I mean? But cutting all of the resources, especially to younger individuals, that is going to have such an awful effect on mental health, on well-being. And I think that, for me, when you asked, how's Ottawa doing? And I'm like, right now, it's not doing that great, because instead of putting the investments where they need to be, they're just trying to cut costs everywhere so that they can privatize things. For example, education. I'm sorry, everyone has the right to education.
Yeah.
Everyone has the right to housing. Everyone has the right to food. And everyone has the right to mental well-being. You can provide people with all the services for mental health, but how are they supposed to maintain it if you're setting them up to fail?
And that's a really good way of looking at it. It's that setting you up to fail. And I think I heard that maybe like 10, 15 years ago, honestly, in my work. And it really is so true. And that's what it really does feel like nowadays, is that we're, you know, sure, there's enough, there's resources for children, but then they get cut off at 18. So that's great. You know, that's great. There's programs, there's grants. They turn 18 and then what? Oh, well, you're an adult. You're good.
They expect them to work.
Yeah.
When they haven't really given them the support to give them the tools.
And this is, well, Tanys, you saw a lot of that with us when we were trying to get employment. And a lot of it was people were scared. They didn't understand the way that a lot of the people that they were hiring with disability work, but boy, did they see the results once they hired them.
Yeah.
Just blossomed.
Sure.
Yeah.
And happy.
Yeah, I agree. And it was something so like the Autism Coalition, they changed their perspective a little bit the last election. And I really appreciated that they said, you know what, autism doesn't end at 18. You know, we need supports for adults and seniors. We need to continue this. Why are we stopping at 18? And so that's why I am a big supporter of the Autism Coalition, because they know what we need to be doing, and they're fighting so hard. And, you know, that's something I think that, you know, I'd love to do with Christina, is to better support them, because they're 100% right with that initiative. For sure. Autism is for life. Neurodivergence is for life. And we need to create supports for people to succeed at every stage.
And that's the thing. We all are going to age. We're all going to be, whether you're disabled now, you're going to be disabled, guaranteed. That's just a part of life.
Yeah.
Things happen.
And these things become other things, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like there's a definitive line has been discovered between ADHD, autism, and then Parkinson's, dementia, and Alzheimer's, that it can exacerbate it later in life.
And that's the issue. And the way to lower it is giving treatment when we're all young. Because
absolutely,
that's what the research is showing, right? That early intervention, yes, it is very important, but you can't just stop. That would be, I've seen so many times where families were cut off from even communication devices after their child either graduated at 18 or they graduated at 21. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what age you are, you still deserve to be able to communicate.
Yeah. Should be a right as well. The right to be able to communicate, however that is.
Exactly. It is. And as far as I'm concerned, it is a right.
Right.
I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that. It's called, you know, I find that so many people are focused on what's on the paper. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That why
meaning their diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just what's on. Yes, diagnosis is important, but you can't just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's about the person.
It's about the person. It's about the fact that disability is a spectrum, no matter what disability it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's patterns and there's parallels, but we all have different experiences. Yeah. But the one experience we all share is the barriers, whether whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's invisible, whether you do see it or you don't see it. It's constant state of height and flight, and that is not good for anybody.
No.
And this is what where we're seeing tons of people like our disabled counterparts becoming unhoused. Most people on the streets right now, I can confidently say, have some form of disability. They didn't get continued support. They fell behind. And this was the result.
So what do you think, so for a person with disability, like an invisible disability, what kind of support do you think regular companies should have for them? Like what would you suggest?
Be welcoming. I think that's the biggest barrier is be welcoming. Because having compassion, hear the person out. You don't, I always find it quite, like even in employment, I go, you don't have to tell them your disabilities. You have to tell them how to accommodate you.
That's right.
Because they're not going to understand. They're not doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I say I'm ADHD.
And even simple things like.
Go ahead, Alison. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. For example, like Facebook, their headquarters, they have video games set up. They have ping pong tables. They have all of those things that neurodivergent people need to do to hyper-focus and decompress. At UBC, in the lab that my former spouse worked in, they had a pull-up bar. They had a ping pong table. They had, they had all of these different things that they could do when they needed to take a minute to step away. And that's something that I've said to like a team that I'm working with. If we have in-person meetings here and you need to go sit down on the couch and play Mario Kart for 15, 20 minutes and battle it out that way, do that. I would rather you do that than walk away and we lose a week of time. I'd rather you guys take take those moments together as a team. And so I think that that's something that I've seen be very successful in software engineering, practices or in organizations, is that if they have those tools available to them, their team is a lot more productive.
And that's the other thing.
I think Christina's right.
I agree with you, Alison. Another example, because I have a host of disabilities, and after my first infection, I got long COVID, but it worsened after my second. So I developed long COVID with post-exertional malaise. So now, instead of pacing with my other disabilities, it is, I do a small task. I have to radically rest for 20 minutes. It's frustrating as a neurodivergent person to live that way, but it's needed because then it can lead to being bedbound.
Wow.
And it's very frustrating. But I've seen how some employers have dealt with that is they know, okay, I have somebody who works either at home or they're the only ones in the office. When they're in the office, they're allowed to go and radically rest in a room. Nobody bothers them or makes noise for like 20 minutes. You got to be in complete darkness. You can't have any stimulus. Even you thinking can't be there.
Oh, how do you get away from that?
Yeah, it's
that would help
hard.
me sleep. That would be helpful.
It's very hard.
I know that a lot of employers are looking at doing those kinds of rooms, where you can go in and disconnect and stuff. And I think that's so important for so many of us.
Yes, exactly.
To have those few minutes to.
But that's what I'm saying, where I said, does not help everyone, because everybody, imagine if you're stressed and you're like, you know what, I don't have any disabilities, but I need a moment. There you go. It helps everybody. Yeah. And that's what people need to understand, I think.
Yeah, even in politics, that is shifting. I've never seen this before in a campaign, but I went to volunteer for Prime Minister Carney in his campaign office this past spring, and he had a wellness room where his team had put that in there. They had a room, and it was like a yoga ball. There was yoga mats. It was a quiet space. The lights were off. And so impressed. Okay, I have a lot of respect that showed he cares about his team. And he would make sure that they were okay and they had those spaces. And so, there are shifts happening, even in politics, that's being recognized now. So I think, if we're seeing it there, we're going to see it everywhere.
That's great to hear, Alison.
It is really nice to hear that too. I mean, I find, so I work from home most of the time. I go into the office one day a week, but when I'm at home, and it's the time where I have to build the schedule, and that can be very stressful for me. Sometimes I forget that I'm at home, and I literally will go in the summertime, I'll go outside and weed for 5 minutes, weed my garden, or I'll step away. And I find a lot of in business culture, that's not encouraged. But man, if I step away even for 5 minutes, let my dog out, I come back and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the screen differently. My eyes aren't crossing from everything, and it just allows me to clear my head. And I'm not neurodivergent, at least not that I know of. But but taking that time to just step away needs to become more accepted. And working these 80-hour weeks and everything is ridiculous. And I think almost we need to start pushing for people to take their breaks. My husband drives a truck, and he will take his lunch break. And even if he doesn't eat on his lunch break, he'll set his timer and nap for 30 minutes because he gets up at 4 a.m. So for him, he takes his break. And so many people are like, why are you taking your break? Why do you need your break? Why wouldn't I take my break? I need to recharge. And
when I was supervising, when I was a manager, I was making sure people took breaks because they're more productive once they take that break, right? So if they have that moment to step away, you get back and you're, like you were saying, Heidi, you're just more focused, right?
Yeah.
So
even with no disabilities, but if the business is more focused on their employees' well-being, then if somebody comes in with a disability, it should be just easy to just go, okay, well, we'll just modify this, because that is also part of business thought process. It's part of the onboarding. It's part of how they live their regular business lives, and whatever business that is. I mean, you work at Walmart. Yeah, go take your 15-minute break. Like, they'll tell you to go take your break.
Definitely.
That's why breaks are, by law, you have to take them, because the benefit of those breaks are great. So let's take that initiative of becoming of accepting those breaks and turning it into accepting that you need that quiet room. They started doing that for women that need to breastfeed or pump. That's become acceptable. There's like break rooms for that sort of thing. So, I mean,
people have different spiritual practices as well, so they have accommodated those things, as well as the having these the voice to print applications and stuff for people, and there's so many options now. If people would just take the moment and step into that.
And that's where I'm saying that people think, oh, it's so expensive to do this. Well, what's more expensive? Everybody falling through the cracks and then helping them and trying to intervene when it is too late, or helping before the cracks even start?
Well, and as a society, we do value, or I would hope that we would value others in the society and bring compassion to that stuff.
Exactly. And that's, I feel that sadly our society has moved so much into heightened flight that we're losing kindness and understanding and compassion. It's like how can you think about supporting yourself if you're hungry, or you're cold, or you're in extreme heat, or you're you know what I mean? Like, it's, if you can't move past survival, how are you supposed to process trauma? Or
how are you supposed to live?
And that's where sadly people are just so focused. Money is important. I get it. I get that. We all need to make money. But why is it that we all have to make money at the expense of breaking our minds and bodies? That benefits nobody, especially ourselves.
$1 million question right there.
That's the $1 million question. Is it really beneficial as a society to go down the route of, let's just cut everything? You get this, I don't get this. But wouldn't it be nice if everybody got it?
Maybe smaller portions. Maybe not maybe everyone would get a piece if it was only 5 things, as opposed to one person having 50 and one person having 1.
Exactly. We have, there is no
Mm-hmm.
shortage of resources. We all share the same air. We all share the same water. We all
Mm-hmm.
share the same resources. But this collecting and hoarding of it is just going to result in none of us having those resources.
Do you think more and more people are thinking that way now?
I think more and more people are. I think people are, once they're able to slow down and, you know, once people are not living in hide and flight and they're starting to get the resources that they need, they go, I understand now.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now that I'm not hungry, I can think about, you know, getting my mental health better. Now that I'm not in the extreme cold or heat and I have a bit of comfort, I can go to work, or I can go to the appointments, or now that I have my accessibility aid for movement.
Yeah.
That's how you open doors. It shouldn't be this hard for anybody.
Well, and I think that, you know, it's very important for us to look at each person individually, right? With your own, with everybody has their own abilities and, you know, barriers. And the more we can look at each person individually instead of just say this whole group is X, Y, and Z, right? We're all unique. So bringing that into all of the assessment processes and all of that we do when we're trying to bring these resources forward is important, right? Because that's how we can, that is another way to like save money, but still make sure everybody's getting what they need.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree completely. And that's where I'm saying that, yes, when it comes to disability and intersectionality, there are parallels, right? But there's also that experience for each individual person that differs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Tanys, I believe that's where you're touching.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not everybody is on the same spectrum of disability. It depends on their life experiences and what supports they have, and if their needs were met, physical or mental. Those are all things. But it's not it's not unattainable is the thing. Too many people I find think that, well, we have to live it this way in the height or flight, or we, you know, it's all or nothing. And it's like, that leads to more disabilities, actually. Oh, 1 second. Sam's talking, I think.
Yes, Sam is here. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Do you wanna say
hello?
hello?
Come on and say hi.
Oh, can we see you? Say
what is hello? Is it
bonjour,
this?
Ça va?
Is hello?
Yeah, just hello.
Well, that's thank you, right?
Yeah. Hello. Oh wait, which one did you do, Heidi?
Is this thank you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then hello
thank
is
you.
just wait.
It can also be you're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah. Or hello.
Nice.
He's a beautiful boy.
I love,
you.
Alison, that you are fluent in ASL and LSQ, right? Is LSQ like the Quebec version, like Quebec language?
It's yeah. And I think on my website it does say I'm fluent. I would say I'm like half. I'd say like I'm conversational more than fluent.
Okay.
And there are certain people, like there's people that have told me, wow, you look fluent. My language skills aren't fully there.
Right.
But yeah, we started learning ASL because we were in Vancouver. But Sam's dad is Francophone, and we always planned on moving back to Ontario because the education and the healthcare social support system here is, at that point, was stronger because, you know, it was a really great system before. And then we moved back, and the school is LSQ as well. And so we started learning LSQ and ASL around the same, like around maybe when Sam was like 2.5, 3. And so I would say, I I can get by. I should probably change my website. Instead of saying fluent, I should say conversational. And that's, something I personally have struggled with being dyslexic is language acquisition. And so I started learning French when I was at birth, right? Because half of my family is French. I've never been able to have a conversation. I have struggled so much with that, but now that I've been learning LSQ for the past few years, it's developed greatly. And something Sam's teacher said to me last year is, non, ton français développe beaucoup, c'est bon, et tu es bilingue. It's like, oh, amazing. And it's from LSQ. And so it's, that's it. It's been a really great experience. And I find because I'm dyslexic, even just with English, I struggle to find words sometimes. It's like, oh gosh, what is that word? Right. Blue or whatever it is. And I find if I sign, it helps to do that.
Wow.
That's
you know what? I'm claiming my ignorance here, but I think it was only about 15 years ago that I suddenly realized that sign language is different for every language. Like ASL, you've always heard it as ASL, but it's American Sign Language. And it was somebody, I think from Australia, that was saying, well, what do you, like, I was reading an article, or I don't know what it was, but it like lightning struck. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. It would be a different language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even within Canada, like we have our own Canadian version of ASL, but even within that, in Vancouver, the way they sign here in Ottawa, really different. They do West Coast like style in Vancouver, which is more similar to like traditional American Sign Language.
Right.
Ottawa, we have very precise sign language. LSQ also is very precise. But then like in Kingston and in London, they use different versions there. And so that was something that was interesting when we moved to Ontario. We had ASL teachers from all different parts of Ontario because it was online. And I was learning different signs from my teacher from Kingston than I was learning from my teacher from London or my teacher from Ottawa. I even had a teacher that had relocated to Ottawa from Vancouver, so she could kind of teach me in the way that I had initially learned. And then, having LSQ threw in, it was, I was in 6 sign languages classes a week when we first came back from Vancouver. And every day I was learning a different form or a different dialect of it. But even like within like sign language, there's universal sign language. It's kind of based off of ASL, but then there's British Sign Language, and they finger spell differently. Like instead of just like, finger spelling like this, they finger spell in their hands. And there's Auslan, which is the Australian. Even within the States, there's Black Sign Language. And so you can learn different, forms of sign language within different cultures. It's so interesting. I think officially there's like, oh gosh, I forget, like maybe 300 sign languages, but then within each sign languages, there's all these different dialects. It's been really eye-opening for me to learn about all of that.
I mean, it makes sense because it's language. It's a language, and how many dialects and British English versus Canadian English versus US English, it's all different. Everybody has different, so it's not surprising, but it is surprising okay, so how was then sign language developed? Was it, I would assume, based on the word and like an action, because I know I've seen some words. I think like this used to be serve, I think, when you're a server, because I was going to take it when I was living in Kingston and the class wasn't full enough, so they canceled it. But I did learn, like, I said, hi, my name is Heidi, I'll be your server. And I kind of remember that serve was something like this, which was like, here's my tray and I'm going to give you food. Something like that. It was a long, long time ago. It was like 25 years ago, but still like, but
that's true.
Where do the words come from? Like, how does the signs come? It kind of surprises me. A chair is a chair.
So like chair, that's a sign for chair. You sit in a chair. It goes lighter to sit, but then you slam it down. Table. But in LSQ, it's table. Like a lot of it, the sign for avocado is just like that. You make the shape of an avocado. So all of the signs are based off of the word. That's so true. You're right. It's something that's interesting in French. And LSQ, it's avocat and avocat. because the word is spelt the same, they do the same sign for avocado and lawyer. So it can be a little bit confusing, whereas with ASL, lawyer, like that, and then avocado. Even when your sign name that is given to you, my sign name is like this, an A near the mouth, because women's signs are always near the mouth, because traditionally women wore bonnets under, men wore caps. So men's signs are up here. And because I'm a mom, so this is a sign for mom. So that's the sign I was given. It's an A for Alison in the position of mom. Whereas Sam, Samuel, c'est comme ça for their curly hair. So an LSQ, that's Sam's sign name. But in English, so the first time a lot of people met Sam at that period of time, Sam wore a Mario costume every day, everywhere we went. And so would walk into the room and go, doo-doo. And so Sam got given the Mario power up punch, because it's the S, that's the sign for S. And so we go like that, doo-doo. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool. And, his best friend, her name's Lily, and that's her sign is like that. It's I love you. And then you go like that for Lily, because she's just a really sweet little girl and just the most loving person. And, or my friend Erin, for example, Erin means Ireland and she loves music. So we gave her like this, an E, and the sign for Ireland's like this, an I, but you're singing. So that's a sign for sing. And because an I, that's an island. So you do that. And so we gave her E for music and Ireland. So you try to always develop a sign, based off of who that person is. And it's the same with deriving the language. So it's neat at the school. They don't have a word for it or a sign for that word. The kids get to create it. So the sign for Paw Patrol is like this for chien, and like that for policier.
Cool.
See them doing that. I guess it's all language, right? We're all, half of us are sociologists. That's what we do, is create language. Yeah, so I think because of that background is probably why I find it more fascinating.
Yeah. I love
awesome.
I like the parallels of groups. So like it was more focused for me on disability and health. So I'm really good with my neurodiversity. My special skill is pattern recognition. So I'm really good at noticing like the patterns, where I could be like, okay, look at a situation and be like, this is the pattern. So this is how you solve the pattern. And it was like jokingly, like, I remember when I was young, it was like, oh, that's the weirdest talent. They're like, where is that going to help you in life? And
well,
yeah,
lots of places.
Well,
yeah, but at the time, not a lot of people. When I was young, ADHD was also focused more on male and female traits.
No.
And they were so focused on male and female traits, they didn't know what to do with me because I had both. So they were not used to a little girl having the so-called boy traits of ADHD. They didn't know what to do with me for a while until I went into ESL, because I also was confused with language because I would speak English and Italian. I did lose my Italian due to my language disabilities, but I can more like understand when I hear it, but it also is a dialect thing, right? The Italian dialect I know is from like the 1980s. So it's a little,
yeah.
That it doesn't help. And a lot of slang.
And like you were saying, having all of these things available. So it's interesting, Alison, when you were talking about the different languages and having all those classes, like what is the availability of that kind of thing? Because there's classes for all of these things, right? What's the availability, do you find, in terms of that for parents, for family members, not just of sign language, but all of these things that can help for families to understand where the people with disabilities are coming from?
There's,
we started in Vancouver.
Many.
Yeah, so Yeah, I think Christina might be able to give a better answer because we spent the first 3.5 years in Vancouver where the support system's incredible. I'll be honest with you. In BC, they have a really strong support system. And our pediatrician even said at one point, I might lie and say he's autistic because you'll have better support. You'll be given $20,000 a year to your developmental specialist, and they'll be able to fine tune and pick out the parts of support that Sam needs. Whereas in the deaf and hard of hearing program, that early intervention program in Ontario is really great. I have met with other parents that did that program and they felt supported. You would have someone come into your home from the provincial school system. It's a teacher of the deaf would come to your home once a week, teach you sign language, or they would do speech therapy depending on your child's diagnostic profile. There's also silent voice. With the provincial system, we had that, the teacher who came to our home, plus I had an online sign language teacher just for me. I had Holly, and she met with me once a week. And we also had Silent Voice. They're a wonderful organization, and they send us an ASL consultant to your home, and they teach you sign language, you and your child. And then there's Réseau. It's the Regroupement Enfants Sourds Ontario, and they provide LSQ classes to parents, family, friends, anyone who wants to get involved. I do find for francophones here in Ottawa, it does seem like through Réseau, there's better for support for the community as a whole. Anyone can participate, whereas in the English system, it was just myself and Sam that could receive that support. I also took classes through the Canadian Hearing. It was Society at that time. It's called Services now, and those were really great. That did come out of our pocket, but that was fine. And Sam's dad and I took those classes. So it's sort of half and half. You have to go out and search for it a little bit, but you do get a great deal of support in the deaf hearing program. But I can't speak to the rest of it. I do think Christina.
Yeah, Christina, what kind of classes or learning supports do you think would be helpful in the community?
Well, I just think bringing the community together more, whether it's online, whether it's outside, whether that always has positive results as you've seen it, Tanys, yourself, right? How just bringing people together in some way, connecting them just helps them flourish. A lot of parents, time is hard, and a lot of those things are either they have to take time off work, employers do not understand, and that's what makes it very hard. The resources, I find, yes, there's more online now, which is great.
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to access that when you're a parent and you have an ancient computer or phone? Or you need
an adult with disability that you don't have the financial resources to have.
Exactly.
That. I know we looked at that as a program when we were working together.
And we did get some program, like some tech, which made a huge difference. And it was, people were thinking it was such a big deal. I'm like, we got someone a mouse, and that opened the doors for everything. We needed an adaptive mouse. It was an extra $5.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's kind of what I'm saying of that their parents, it's not just the parents who need the support. It's the grandparents. It's the friends. It's the moms, dads, theys, everybody. If it's more community care, that's kind of the model that AFO is mostly based in, then it's community focused, right? It's community outlook. It's more of
I think that's really important to encourage that is the community, because that's great that a parent is able to get that support, or a child of an adult with disabilities is able to get that support, but that's just one person in their circle. But being able to bring in others that are part of their community, they're part of their village, would be amazing. And I know a lot of the times it's, you can only it'll only support the client and two people, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. They don't realize that they don't take into consideration how important that village is.
Exactly.
And, being in HR, there's the inclusion and equity training and that sort of thing, which I find is it's growing, which is great. We're getting closer to that sort of people understanding a little more, but it's slow. It's slow to get it going,
But wouldn't it be great if everybody could learn that?
Absolutely.
It would benefit everyone. I like schools. I would love for that kind of training to be in schools to help combat a lot of negative. I mean, the youth today are being bombarded with hopelessness, fatigue, lack of compassion and services. It leads to anger and frustration. Anyone would. And then throw in when you're disabled, it's even more frustrating. It's like, I did the thing you told me, but then you put broken glass in front of me and told me to walk through it.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So can you maybe tell us, Christina, how people can kind of get in touch with you and how they can access the programs that you have?
Well, right now
I put the link in the comments as well, so people can reach out that way. But tell us a little bit about what you've got going on with Ability First now.
Well, actually, we're working on getting some outreach supplies. I know usually we would be doing, the big dinners and delivering those and PPE and such, but lack of funds. I mean, for us, monetary donations always go a long way. As you saw, we stretch every dollar.
Yeah, for sure.
And many of our volunteers also, we want to make sure that their costs are always covered. We can't afford their wages, but we can make sure that if they're doing deliveries, that they're doing it with, safety in mind, that they are safe, and that their expenses are covered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've always been of the opinion volunteering shouldn't be a loss; it should be a gain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the value of volunteering, I can't stress that enough. I mean, I think that it is so rewarding being involved in something that you're volunteering with. It can be super helpful for many things. So just add Alison back in.
Yay.
Hello.
There you go.
Volunteering is wonderful. I'm actually interested in getting back into volunteering. I took a break for a while. I was very much volunteering in my little community when my daughter was young with various youth groups and things like that. But it got to be a lot on me as a parent, and my husband was working long hours, and it was just a lot. And small communities also tend to have a lot of clashing of things, of personalities. And so I did end up taking a break, but now my daughter will be going off to university this time next year. And so I really want to get my volunteering chops back in motion, I think. And I'm trying to figure out what do I want to volunteer with? Now I live an hour south of Ottawa, but I'm thinking, I'm trying to decide what I should do.
Well, I was on the board actually for Ability First, vice president at one point, and I think I was with you for about 8 years, right? Something like
almost
that.
9.
Yeah, yeah. It was it was very rewarding. The participants in the programs and stuff were all. It was just amazing to work with this group of people, and the board itself is just great. So, anyone that has that extra little bit of time, even an hour or two a week can really help. Even an hour or two a month can be helpful, right, Christina? Mm-hmm. Any little bit can help. Time and simple, resources.
Like, you'd be surprised, like I said, with the adaptive computer mouse, it might be that somebody just needs to go pick it up. It might be that somebody needs, you may think it's small for you, but if you think about the barriers for somebody else, like, for example, the mouse to go pick it up.
Yeah.
Who has the gas money? If the individual went, they would have to wait for para.
Yeah.
They might not have their, all their paperwork ready. That could be 4 hours of their day versus someone who can just hop in a car and go pick it up
for 15 minutes, right?
15. Yeah. We've seen it so many times where it was like this one volunteer would be like, I don't know why this was such a big deal. And then the individual they helped is praising them for like an hour, and they're going, I don't get it. Like, why was this such a big deal to them? And I'm like, because you gave them time back.
Yeah.
That they would have lost.
And you think about, isn't that something that we're all, time is a resource, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're giving resources to adults with disabilities. So, Ability First is a wonderful organization, which is, I'm been so thrilled to be involved, and thrilled to have you on here as well. So if you have time or resources that you'd like to contribute, I think that reaching out to the website that we've put in the chat is a great way to do that. And so I want to thank you and the others who we seem to have lost through technical issues.
There is supposedly a storm coming, so everybody drive carefully, nice and slow.
Yes, please.
I drove this morning and it was quite slippery, and I have winter tires.
Yes, so be safe out there, guys. And thank you so much, Christina, for joining us today. It's been an honor to have you on, and
it's been a pleasure being on. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Tanys, and for Cathy and Alison taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time on Compassionate Conversations.